The purpose of a Christ follower is to follow in Jesus' footsteps, and that means live like Jesus did, love like Jesus loved. It means make disciples the way Jesus made disciples, and if we do that, we're going to have a massive impact. I stepped foot on campus in 1999 at the University of Arkansas. I was a freshman there, moved into the Kappa Sig house, and that was when I got to meet Brent and some of the other guys who were involved with STUMO. And Brent was a man of God, one of the few in my fraternity. He was leading the Bible study, and so the impression to me was this is a guy who's set apart. He just looks different than everyone else. He's here for a reason, he has a purpose, and he actually really cares about me. So Brent, I remember one night he asked me what chance I would have of going to heaven. And I had a beer in my hand when he asked, so I was like, I can't say 100% with this beer. So I was like, I don't know, maybe 70%. But that made me think. Over the next several weeks and months, I was thinking, I wonder where I do stay. What are my chances right now? And I thought about that multiple times. And then over that summer, Brent encouraged me to read my Bible. And as I was reading it and just seeing Jesus' stories and reading them for the first time really on my own as an adult, man, that's when the lights came on. So that was between my sophomore and junior year of college when I took a step to begin following Christ.
I remember I met Steven sometime my freshman year. I don't even remember exactly when I met him. I remember he spoke at one of our fraternity pledge meetings, and I just saw him on campus everywhere. He was just always around.
My first impression with Candler is here's a guy who is hungry and interested to grow spiritually, and a guy who's a leader. He's a faithful guy.
I remember he sat down and explained what the gospel was to me. He would sit down and explain what it looked like to read my Bible, what it looked like to pray. And from the end of my freshman year on, he was just really intentional to show me step by step what it looked like to follow Christ while I was in college. I was kind of 1 foot in the world, 1 foot trying to walk with God. And then sophomore year, where Steven just cast a lot of vision at what it could look like for me to take the things that he had taught me and kind of help other people and younger guys on campus that were in my fraternity and that I interacted with to impact them for Christ on campus. I just started a Bible study with all the guys that I had been meeting, and one of the guys that was in that Bible study, his name was Thomas Walker.
At the time, I wasn't really looking to necessarily have a relationship with God in college, and because I thought that meant I had to put fun to the side. But when he shared the gospel with me, he's like, hey, you're actually going to find more joy and fulfillment in college if you're living for Christ as opposed to yourself. And so I first met Chase my junior year at TCU when he was coming in as a freshman during fraternity recruitment. And what I love about Chase is that he's a really goofy guy, really fun to be around, brings a lot of energy. We had similar kind of stories coming into school, and so I really love spending time with him.
Looking at his life and then looking at my life as I call myself a Christian, I saw stark differences through his pursuit and love and dedication to the Lord. I was able to meet Jesus as well. Yeah, I met Jackson his freshman year of college, my junior year of college, at college game day. We became TCU. And man, just immediately I saw a dude that was a leader, and we just became friends really, really quickly. Jackson and I would meet up and grab lunch a couple times a week. We would just hang out.
I just kept saying yes. We just kept hanging out, reading the Bible, talking, and what I enjoyed was just a guy that was older than me taking interest in me. He just kept meeting with me and actually kept sharing the gospel with me. I didn't even really know it until about 5 months into our friendship that summer when he shared it again, and for some reason that was the time that it made sense. It clicked and I understood. Through Chase sharing the gospel with me and sharing his life with me, I got fired up about sharing the gospel and knowing God and making him known to others. And that's really when I started to gain a vision for spiritual multiplication myself. And it wasn't long after that when I met Tristan.
Coming into college, I was looking for community and really seeking out someone I could just do life with. And so I went to this community group, and there I met Jackson. And soon after that, he started teaching me just simple concepts and just ways to follow Jesus in college. I met Sam the beginning of my sophomore year, which is his freshman year, and we were playing spike ball.
So my first impression was that he wasn't very good at spike ball. He was my partner. And he was just so exuberant, full of joy and life. And I think it was just something that I naturally gravitated to.
So Sam, when he came into college, he was a very young believer and was just very spiritually interested of what's it look like to live out my faith.
when he asked if I wanted to meet up, I was like, sure, why not? But I had no idea what type of invitation this was into his life. After SMC, I'd say that we really started digging in and meeting up consistently. And
so Sam got to learn just the basics of what it means to go out and share the gospel and also be walking with Christ at the same time.
As Tristan and I continued to meet up, I started to understand the real worth of having a faith, to the point of realizing myself that my faith wasn't meant for me, but it was meant to be shared with others. And I'm not promised a multitude of disciples as I walk with Christ, but we are still plan A, right? God's plan has been playing out to grow the kingdom, and now I want to be a part of that kingdom.
When I look back on my life, and specifically my time in college, it's crazy the impact that someone just taking the things that they had learned when it comes to their faith and just passing that on to someone else, the impact that can have in someone's life.
In verses like 2 Timothy 2:2, where he says, hey, the things you've seen me do, pass that on to faithful men who are going to be qualified to teach others also. And so if you take this seriously, if you come alongside others, if you build up and make disciples, it's going to have a ripple effect. And it's all going to be changed because a laborer comes into someone's life and they love on them and they share Jesus with them and they do what Brent did with me and they just encourage them to take the gospel seriously, and that's going to impact the entire world.
This downline of multiplication is just one of countless stories of the way God has used man to bring the gospel to the lost. If every year each of these guys multiplied their life with someone else and then those went to disciple more people, the effects would be world-changing.